911 calls, pictures, and new information about the disappearance of 16-year-old Iyana Sawer. Ayana was 5 months pregnant at the time she disappeared in December of 2018.
Jacksonville 911, what's the location of your emergency?
It's going straight to voicemail. Our phone never goes to voicemail.
To be clear, do you think it's foul play?
Ma'am, I have no idea. This is not like, this is out of character for her.
Another shocking detail is the unnamed love letter describing a jealous love triangle between the girl who wrote it, a man, and another girl. The letter says, quote, "You told me you and your brother would never do that to each other, but you'll sleep with sisters though." The person writing the letter also appears to be related to the man they are writing to. She says, "When I first met you, before we even started talking, I thought you were just so perfect, and I would always wonder, where did Auntie find something so perfect?" The girl goes on to say, "I wasn't lying when I said I'm all yours, and about the baby thing."
It's often said that our own secrets can make us sick. Within families, this statement holds even truer, as in our efforts to be loyal to one another, we often find ourselves guarding the secrets of those among us who are sick. These secrets may begin as a mere whisper, but over time can spread like a contagion, infecting everyone they touch. And by the time the infection is discovered, it's too far gone to control. This age-old tale reminds us that the very secrets that once bound us together also lurk in the shadows like a silent bomb waiting to tear us apart. Yet many of us continue to believe that the burden of carrying a secret is lighter than the pain of revealing it. But is it really? This is the tragic story of Iyana Sawer, the murder of the pregnant niece. We're going to get into it, but first be sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on updates to this story, trending topics, and so much more. Now let's get into it. Iyana Sawer was born in Jacksonville, Florida on September 6, 2002, into a big family that loved her to pieces. She was the cherished firstborn of Kimberly Mobley and Willie Sawyer. From the very beginning, Ayana's birth brought joy and happiness to her parents' lives. Just 1 year after her arrival, Ayana's life would be graced by the presence of a baby sister, Samaya, who would ultimately become her very best friend. Over the years, their sisterly bond would grow strong each day as they advanced from toddlers to teenagers together. And as Ayana grew, she blossomed into a remarkable young woman, known for her beauty, her kindness, and exceptional intelligence. At the age of 16, she was a sophomore attending Terry Parker High School. Ayana had her sights set on a bright future. She was an exceptional student with straight A's, and she was set to graduate high school ahead of schedule. Alongside her high school studies, Ayana was taking college courses, paving the way for a promising career in medicine. Her aspirations were set high, and she dreamed of becoming a surgeon, a goal that showcased her determination to make a difference in the world. Despite Ayana's own dreams of being a surgeon, her grandma, Winella, would fondly refer to Ayana as her little lawyer.
Can you give the jury an idea of, sort of describe your granddaughter, IS, what type of young lady she was?
She was very smart. That was my little lawyer. She had other dreams. She wanted to be a surgeon, but that was my little lawyer, because I would see her work her way out of situations, or like get excused from school, or well, because of this and this is this, and she would present her case until she was my little lawyer. No matter what her plans was, she was my little lawyer.
Yes, ma'am. Did you know her to be doing well in school at that time?
Yes, she was very smart. She was taking college course along with high school.
The family knew that wherever Ayana would ultimately land in her career, she was destined for greatness. The bond between Ayana and her little sister Samaya was unbreakable, as they shared not only a room, but also a unique and close sisterly connection that allowed them to communicate in a language of their own. When looking at Ayana's side of the room, it was apparent that pink was her favorite. Not only the color pink, but also Victoria's Secret Pink collection. Victoria's Secret Pink is a sub-brand of the lingerie retailer, which was launched in 2002, the very same year Ayana was born. The collection was created for a younger demographic, typically targeting college-age women.
Now, did your daughter like a particular brand?
Yes.
What brand was that?
It's the Victoria's Secret Pink clothing line.
And did she like all the aspects of that brand?
Yes.
And when I say all aspects, I'm just meaning from like the beauty fragrance all the way through undergarments.
Yes.
Okay. And did she have a lot of those items?
Yes, she did.
Associated with that brand?
Yes.
Everyone close to Yana knew that her Victoria's Secret Pink bras and panties were her absolute prized possessions. Her love for pink became so well known, she would come to receive more items from the collection from her aunts as holiday gifts. Despite her ambitions, Ayana was a homebody. She followed a predictable routine centered around home, school, and her visits with family. Her world revolved around her family, her studies, and a close-knit group of friends, with some of whom she shared a lifelong bond since kindergarten. Although she and her friends would eventually attend different schools, they maintained their closeness through daily communications on social media, Snapchat being their favorite platform. Ayana's family is an extremely close-knit clan. On her mother's side of the family, she had a treasure trove of aunts and one beloved uncle, each adding their unique flavor to the family mix. In the Mobley household, holidays are marked by grand family dinners that fill the hosting home with laughter and warmth. Birthdays are another reason the family would come together to celebrate with a good old-fashioned cookout, complete with the sizzle of the grill and the joy of being in each other's company. Even when they couldn't be physically present, their connection remained strong through a family group text. It was a digital lifeline that carried their conversations, updates, and heartfelt messages, ensuring they were never truly apart. Each of Ayana's aunts had a special place in her heart, but among them, Aunt Naomi's house was the most frequented spot. Yana and Maya would often spend weekends at Aunt Naomi's, and during the summer, they stayed there on some weeknights too. They enjoyed helping with their young cousin, Nia, while Aunt Naomi was at work. Aunt Naomi had a demanding job, often requiring her to work long hours and even late nights into the early morning. In her absence, the family rallied together to help. Yana and Maya, in particular, would spend the most time assisting with Nia, with Uncle John taking charge of the kitchen, whipping up delicious made-to-order meals for a very discerning crowd.
Well, he was the cook. 95% of the meals that came through our house were cooked by him. And when my nieces came over, well, in the Trout River house especially, I noticed that he would cook 2 meals. He would always ask the kids as a whole what they wanted, and they would always announce what they wanted.
Ayana's life appeared to be on an upswing. She was excelling in school and enjoying the unwavering love and support of both her family and friends. However, appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the surface of a seemingly fairy tale existence lurked an ugly secret, ready to disrupt her world. March 2018. As Iyana strolled along her familiar neighborhood path to pick up her younger brother from school, a routine she had grown accustomed to, she couldn't help but notice her neighbor doing the same for his younger cousin, who was a fellow student at the school. One ordinary day, their paths converged, sparking a conversation that would change the course of their interactions. Their initial exchange of words gradually evolved into a deeper connection. Soon, their conversations would transcend face-to-face encounters and would extend into the realm of social media, with Snapchat being their favored platform for communication. Their walks and growing closeness eventually led to an intimate encounter that occurred in mid-March. Iyana's mother caught them in the act, and there was one big problem with this. He was 20 years old and Iyana was just 15.
Going back earlier in 2018, did you also learn something involving your daughter and a neighbor?
Yes.
And was that person Kamar Humphrey?
Yes, it was.
And back in March of 2018, how old was your daughter?
15.
And was the neighbor 20 years old?
Yes.
Did you report that to the police?
I did.
And the next day, did you accompany your daughter to have a sexual assault examination?
I did.
As would any discerning mother, Kim would immediately have Iyana evaluated by a healthcare professional. Consequently, this chain of events would also result in a visit to the young man's home by the police, where they would request a DNA sample.
March of 2018, did police come to your home?
I believe so, yes, ma'am. In March, yes, ma'am.
And what happened when police came to your home?
I believe this is the time I did the mouth swab, I believe.
And what did they tell you why they were doing that mouth swab?
For a rape kit or something like that.
Were you in a sexual relationship with IS?
Can you describe a sexual relationship?
Whatever you believe a sexual relationship is, were you in any sort of sexual relationship with IS?
Yes.
Spring gave way to summer before the test results would provide conclusive evidence that the neighbor's DNA was indeed found in places where it should not have been. It would only be a matter of time before the police would arrest the neighbor. April 2018. It would seem that Iyana had been seeing someone pretty consistently since 2017. By all indications, Iyana was in love, and the messages he sent to her conveyed a similar notion. His words were filled with anticipation, reflecting his excitement about spending time with her. But at the time, Jose remained a complete mystery to everyone except Iyana. His identity was a closely guarded secret shared only with her sister, Samaya. In February, he snapped,
"You said you were going to light candles for me. So let's do that one day, kind of like a date, and take me in the go-kart."
But after getting wind of what happened with the neighbor in March of that same year, Iyana's mystery man would begin to show signs of insecurity and started vying for Iyana's exclusive attention.
"I like kissing you. Just after I found out about that boy turned me off about a lot of things, but I'm working on it. Yes, I'm trying. I never took advantage of you. Never. You broke my heart when you compared me to him. You're not just a piece of meat to me like you said. I actually love you, and you played me."
Iyana's daily routine, which consisted of shuttling between school, home, and Aunt Naomi's, was so predictable it would have been virtually impossible for anyone except those she confided in to discern she was in a relationship.
Personal knowledge, okay, ma'am? Not what you've heard, but just personal knowledge. Were you aware of any boyfriend-girlfriend relationship that IS was in?
No.
Much like her approach with her close-knit group of friends, Iyana maintained an exclusive communication with Jose through Snapchat. July 2018. Summer break was in full swing. As is typical for Iyana and Maya, They would spend the month of June with their grandparents in Georgia. The time had come for them to return home after a wonderful stay in Columbus. They would return to Jacksonville just in time for Grandma Winella's birthday celebration the weekend of July 7th. As the celebration would finally come to an end, Maya decided she would go home for the night and would join Iyana at Aunt Naomi's and Uncle John's the following day. During Iyana's stay at Aunt Naomi's, Jose continued to struggle with the thought that Iyana had been intimate with someone else. While at Aunt Naomi's, he sends Iyana a message.
It's not like you stopped. I can't believe I trusted you when I know you are full of it with me. Never again. You can unclaim you being a hoe and just deal with that hoe that don't give two shits about you. It won't be surprising if he ain't effing all your friends and your sister, but that's who you choose over me. Eff it. Keep it. I hope he treats you better than me. Bye. Don't bother to hit me up if it's not something seriously wrong or important. I don't want to chat with you just because, or talk on the phone just because. No more. Go back to doing that with him. Oh, I forgot you already do. I'm done with you. I hope it's worth it. You officially have broke my heart, Ayana, and I will never forget it.
Despite the negative consequences and the ongoing investigations that arose from Iyana's interactions with her neighbor, it becomes apparent that when she describes these encounters to Jose, she does so with a certain intent to make him jealous. It appears she had achieved this goal as Jose's messages reveal his displeasure with Iyana's comparisons between him and the neighbor, and he is equally unhappy to learn that they continue to communicate. October 2018. Iyana would often make a phone call to her beloved Grandma Nancy in Georgia, with whom she shared a unique and cherished bond. It was during one of these calls that Iyana decided to confide in Grandma Nancy, sharing a deeply held secret. In response, Grandma Nancy lovingly advised Iyana about the significance of sharing this secret with her mother.
Ma'am, after she left your home in early July of 2018, did you learn thereafter that IS became pregnant?
Yeah, back in November.
Now, the next question. So first, just answer yes, you did?
Yes.
Right. Can you give the jury an idea of what month you learned about that?
She told me in October.
All right. I'm trying to say what somebody else told you. Let me ask you this question. When you learned that she was pregnant, did you take that information and pass it along to somebody else?
Yes.
Who did you tell?
I told her father.
Is that your son?
Yes.
Did you tell Kim, her mother?
I asked Iyana to share it with her mom, and she did.
November 2018. After a few days, Grandma Nancy thought it best that she disclose to Iyana's father the secret she had learned from Iyana. However, Willie did not share this information further.
Now, did you learn that IS was pregnant?
Yes, I did.
Who told you IS was pregnant?
My mother.
Is that Nancy Ware?
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity, without going into statements, to speak with IS about it?
No.
Following this, Iyana's secret would lie dormant for a period of time. As Thanksgiving approached, just like every year in the U.S., families were gearing up for the festivities, and the Mobleys were no exception. The task of selecting the house where the grand celebration would take place marked the beginning of the preparations for their traditional Thanksgiving family dinner. As the day unfolded, with the hustle and bustle of holiday preparations and the joyful feasting, eventually the time came for farewells. Family members would bid their goodbyes, making their way from the front door to their parked cars just outside. Amidst the farewell scene, after sharing her goodbyes with some of the family, Grandma Winella decided to take a stroll to the backyard. It was there that she stumbled upon an unexpected sight. a moment of intimate embrace involving Iyana.
And was that at a family function?
Yes,
Was that at a family dinner?
yes,
And is what you're about to describe take place in the backyard of this family dinner?
yes.
All right. Was there a lot of folks there at this particular occasion?
At the house, yes, but outside, no.
That was my next question. When you walked out into the backyard during this dinner, how many people approximately were out there?
It was just me and my husband, and then him and her.
All right, and so the record's clear. So it was you and your husband, Michael.
Yes, yes.
This evening time?
It was.
All right. And when you walked out, will you describe the best you can, ma'am, what your eyes saw when you walked out there?
When he was hugged up, when he was hugged, His hands was around, he was hugged. They was in a full embrace. And when they see me, it startled him.
It startled him?
Yes.
Did he break loose from that hug?
Yes, he did.
Was that right when he saw you?
Yes, when he seen me.
Startled by the realization that they were not alone, the young couple quickly separated from their affectionate hug. Though nothing was said to Iyana at that moment, this incident raised suspicions in Grandma Winella's mind. She believed it might be worth having a conversation with Kim as a warning to keep a watchful eye on her then 16-year-old daughter. December 2018. Early December marked the moment when Iyana's long-held secret would finally be revealed to her mother. Iyana was pregnant. At first, Kim was taken aback, but the instant she felt the baby kick for the first time, a deep desire to support her daughter overwhelmed any initial shock. Iyana's determination to welcome her baby was firm. Termination was absolutely not an option, even in the face of Jose's persistent attempts to persuade her otherwise. On August 14th, Jose sends a snap.
I love you too. We can't risk your future. I promise I'll give you 2 kids, but you need to finish up college so you can be very successful in life.
1 week later, he wrote,
I'm sorry, I forgot you're carrying our child and you're sensitive. I love you very much and don't want you to keep going through this drama. But we have plans, and if you act off of your emotions, you will hinder our plans in the future. It's very hard to see it now, but it's the truth.
With great concern, Kim promptly scheduled an OBGYN appointment for December 13th, a mere 10 days after discovering her daughter's pregnancy. During the appointment, they received surprising news. Iyana was already 22 and a half weeks pregnant. This discovery was astonishing, as Iyana had skillfully concealed her pregnancy beneath baggy sweatshirts that hid her tall, slender frame. During the visit, the doctor also performed a gender reveal test, confirming that Iyana was expecting a baby girl.
Now, ma'am, I'm going to draw your attention right now to the early part of December of 2018. Did you find something out pretty shocking about your daughter, IS?
Yes.
What did you find out? And again, try not to go into statements, just what you learned.
That she was with child.
How did you feel after hearing this? Because how old was your daughter at the time?
16.
Okay.
I was a little upset at first because I didn't want her to get in the way of college. You know, her dreams got her dreams. She was in between, like she was in to be a lawyer or a doctor. So I was upset at first, but when I came home from work and first time I felt baby kick, yes, out of my door. I just wanted to be supportive and be there for her.
Did your focus shift at that point?
Immediately.
Did you set up a OBGYN appointment for her?
Yes.
And specifically, do you remember what date you learned that your daughter IS was pregnant?
December 3rd.
And was the appointment you set up on December the 13th, 2018?
13th, yes.
And did you go with IS to that appointment?
Yes, I did.
And was the pregnancy confirmed when you were at that appointment?
Yes.
Did you also learn how far along IS was?
Yes.
How far along?
She was about 5 months, 22 weeks.
How did you not know that your daughter was pregnant since she was already 5 months along?
Ayana, she's tall, she's slim, and then also she wore a lot of hoodies over her.
In fact, was she about 5'8"?
Yes.
but quite thin.
Yeah, she's thin.
Was the plan for IS to have the baby?
Yeah, she wanted to.
Did you find out the gender of IS's child?
Yes.
And what was it?
Gender was a girl.
And had she been named?
Yes.
And what was that name?
Hazel Michelle Mobley.
The news of Iyana's pregnancy spread rapidly through the family, possibly accelerated by their family group chat. Hazel Michelle was eagerly anticipated and set to arrive April 2019, just a few months away. As the initial excitement of the news began to subside, it didn't take long for curious questions about the identity of the father to circulate within the family. When directly asked, Iyana remained tight-lipped, shrouding her mystery man in secrecy. Eventually, she relented and provided family and friends with the name Jose, a name that, until then, had never been uttered beyond her sister Maya. Iyana described Jose as being of mixed race heritage, a blend of Black and Puerto Rican, characterized by his curly hair. Curiously, she had never introduced him to her family, a fact that raised eyebrows and fueled the curiosity of her loved ones. This mystery spurred the aunts into action, with her mother assuming the lead detective role.
When I found out when she was pregnant, then I went and pulled up that app and look back and see when she got pregnant. And so, because I knew, I went and looked back, like I said, she didn't have a boyfriend, she didn't have anything. And so I added up the dates and I figured out she got pregnant when she got back from summer vacation with her grandparents in Georgia.
As both her mother and aunts meticulously calculated the timeline, they all arrived at the same conclusion. The time of conception pointed to early July. And thanks to Iyana's predictable routine, they even narrowed it down to a specific weekend and location. Despite all of this, Iyana remained steadfast in her resolve to keep her secret concealed. In the days that followed, Iyana's spirited aunt, Jametta, would come to a bold conclusion. The name Jose was nothing more than an alias. December 19th, 2018. The day began like any other typical day for Iyana and Maya. They were both at school. However, this day, they met at the picnic tables for what appeared to be an intense discussion. School surveillance cameras captured Maya's passionate attempts to persuade Iyana, who, despite the visible exchange, remained unyielding. Typically, at the end of the day, the sisters would reunite on the school bus for their journey home. However, on this particular day, things took an unexpected turn. Iyana never boarded the school bus. Maya tried calling and texting her sister, but there was no response. This raised immediate concerns for Maya, prompting her to urgently contact their mother to report that Iyana had not gotten on the bus. The news sent shockwaves through the family. Given Iyana's predictable daily routine, her sudden disappearance without a word was highly unusual. Iyana's parents, along with her aunts, rushed to the school within minutes to search for her, but there was no sign of Iyana. While Aunt Jametta canvassed the school's campus, Aunt Margie took to the streets, driving through the neighborhood along every possible route Iyana could have taken. The burden of stress and worry weighed heavily on Aunt Naomi and Uncle John. In an attempt to alleviate some of the anxiety he had accumulated from working late, Aunt Naomi suggested that Uncle John head to the gun range to release some tension.
And after, and as far as the gun gallery would he go there fairly often?
Yes. Most of the time we would go together, but on December 20th, I had recommended because he had a short day at work. It was raining half crazy and he released the workers to leave early on the yard. So I recommended, I'm like, hey, you're stressed, I'm stressed, go to the gun gallery. That's a stress reliever.
December 20th, 2018. An entire 24 hours passed without any sign of Iyana. The case was subsequently handed over to the Missing Persons Unit, and in the days that followed, detectives would review surveillance footage from school cameras. The name Jose was provided, but the leads yielded no substantial information. The last known sighting of Iyana showed her exiting a school gate on the West End near the bus ramp, engrossed in a phone call. Yet when phone records were examined, there was no trace of the call data. Iyana continued to walk westward from the school and then turned north onto Townsend Boulevard, where she would disappear from the camera's view. Notably, she was carrying a tote bag. Missing persons posters were distributed throughout the area, and Iyana's friends were contacted for any potential leads. One of her friends expressed confidence that Iyana was with Jose. But as days turned into weeks, it felt as though Iyana had simply vanished into thin air, leaving her loved ones consumed by worry and uncertainty. December 28, 2018. As the family painstakingly combed through Iyana's belongings in her room, hoping to find any clues that might shed light on her whereabouts, it became evident to the detectives that they would also need to gather DNA samples from the family to differentiate them from any unknown donors on the items. And given Iyana's frequent visits to Aunt Naomi's and Uncle John's, the detectives deemed it prudent to collect DNA samples from members of that household as well. Fortunately, Aunt Naomi and Uncle John willingly submitted to this request. Even as rumors continued to circulate about the identity of Jose, detectives had by now received a significant number of tips pointing to a possible lead, with one name consistently cropping up in the conversations. January 2019. In the days that ensued after his discussions with the family, Detective Abbott would expedite the submission of the DNA samples to the lab, clearly marking them as urgent. Remarkably, the lab returned the results in a mere 5 days. The findings were nothing short of shocking. The lab technician had discovered that DNA collected from the crotch of Iyana's underwear during her examination in March of 2018 contained DNA of not just one male donor, but 2. One of the DNA contributors would be ultimately identified as belonging to Uncle John. Then the very next day, detectives from the Jacksonville Police Department would receive a call displaying a New York number on the caller ID. The voice on the other end identified himself as Yusuf Willis, claiming to possess vital information regarding the missing teenager. As Detective Abbott established contact with the caller, he would soon discover that the name initially provided was an alias. Yusuf Willis would be none other than Joseph Keyless, the older brother of Uncle John, also known as Jonathan Keyless. Upon conducting thorough verification through phone records and searches at John's workplace, the status of the case would undergo a dramatic shift from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation. Uncle John would indeed be confirmed to be Jose. Samaya, the only person who had personal knowledge of this, would finally confirm this to be true. When she realized her sister would never return home, she began to lay bare the secrets involving Uncle John, who not only had taken advantage of her sister since 2017, but she too was a victim. The chain of events. On December 19th, Uncle John clocked into work at 8:08 a.m. Around 11 a.m., Iyana is seen leaving school carrying a tote bag filled with her favorite Victoria's Secret lingerie. She exits near the bus ramp, fully engaged in a phone call that never shows up on her call records. She's likely using a third-party app to conceal the call. Iyana walks out of view of the camera, then either turns her phone off or places it in airplane mode. 17 minutes later, Uncle John is seen leaving his job. He didn't punch out for lunch, and his phone tracked to a parts store, an alibi just in case he's asked of his whereabouts in the future. Shortly after, his phone also goes dark. He's off the grid for an hour and 17 minutes. At 12:30 p.m., John returns to his job at Ace Pick-A-Part, where he works as a handyman. Iyana is said to be with him inside the van. Instead of turning into the employee and customer lot, he goes to a secluded and prohibited area of the premises. After a little over 3 minutes, John reappears and parks in the parking lot. Iyana is said to be waiting in a car back in the secluded area. John then walks into the office and shortly thereafter reappears with something suspicious in his hand, a roll of duct tape. Now John can be observed here as he leaves the office area and walks around to this area with another employee. It's within this window of time, between 12:30 p.m. when he brought Iyana there and leaving for the day at 6:09 p.m. when John attempted to strangle Iyana but couldn't stomach it. So he pulled out his gun and shot Iyana once in the heart, and with that one shot, he took 2 lives. According to John's brother, he did it all inside a vehicle. Then he rolled her body inside a piece of carpet. He likely secured it with the duct tape we observed him take from the office earlier. The following day, it's raining heavy as John arrives at 7:44 a.m. and parks in the lot. Moments later, John is seen in a full rain suit. He's the only outside employee wearing one. He goes in the office area, and shortly after, he's seen coming out with additional rain gear. Then around 1:52 p.m., he's seen driving a tractor moving a maroon Honda Accord over to the car crusher to be destroyed. It's believed that this car held Iyana's remains since the night before. John leaves the car at the crusher. Then he heads back to the area where he was discussing something with the employee the day before. Only now he's trading the fork attachment on the truck for a bucket. With the bucket attached, John heads back to the secluded area of the lot. Notice the position of the bucket. It's low and projecting forward. Now, when he comes back, you can't see much of the bucket. Its position has changed. It has been determined that Ayana's body was scooped up from the secluded area and discarded in the 40-yard dumpster located to the far right of the red car here. The dumpster is mostly out of view of the camera. You can follow the top of the tractor as it makes its way from the dumpster and heads back toward the parking lot. Notice now the low position of the bucket once again. Moments after John dumped her body, an all-American garbage truck shows up to pick up the full dumpster and replace it with an empty one. But before heading to the location of the dumpster, the driver stops just inside the premises for instructions on the dumpster's location on the property. John urgently runs to the truck to ask which landfill will the dumpster be taken, and after getting an answer from the driver, he leads the truck driver to the dumpster. This dumpster is called a roll-off dumpster. It has wheels and doesn't get turned over to empty its contents. Instead, the contents are released through a back door. Moments later, the truck exits the premises. Iyana's body leaves the premises at this moment as well. At 2:45, John appears to leave the parking lot, but he heads back to the secluded area once more, likely to check on his cleaning. Then 1 minute later, he is seen exiting the premises. On January 8th, 2019, Jonathan Quiles was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and sexual battery of Iyana Sawer and murder in the first degree of her unborn child. 2 days after arriving at the Duval County Jail, John was caught on a wire recording, confessing to the heart-wrenching act of taking Iyana's life. He admitted to shooting her in the heart and then callously disposing of her body in a dumpster that was headed to a nearby landfill. This heinous act took place after he lured Iyana to his workplace, deceitfully promising her they'd run away together.
In another conversation, same day, he then said that he took the young lady and he had her sitting in a vehicle. He picked her up. He had her sitting in a vehicle, waiting. He tried to strangle her. It didn't work out. He couldn't stomach it. And so then he later went, shot her in the chest. And then he proceeded to discard the body by taking the body and putting it in transporting it into a dumpster, and destroying the vehicle. He then said that he had her sitting waiting in the back of the his job, at the back of the place where there's nobody really goes there. It's just cars sitting back there, and so she's just waiting. Yeah, she's just waiting. Yeah, there was a certain part that they just had like vehicles just sitting there, and they would take them to get dismantled or crushed, and no one really goes back there. You would need like a special permission to go back there. It was definitely in the car. What car? I don't know.
All right. Did he say where he shot her? Was that inside the car? Or outside?
Same answer.
Did he say where he shot her on her person?
Yes.
Did he tell you how he was able to get her and or encourage her to come to his job? What, if anything, did he tell her to get her there?
Just a process of like explaining to her that they were going to run away together. They were going to be together. Yeah, he said he wrapped her up in carpet and then transported her.
Did he transport her to where?
The dumpster.
The dumpster at his work?
Yes, at Ace Picker Park, yes.
Did he say how he was able to transport her wrapped in carpet to that dumpster? Did he tell you that detail?
Yeah, he used one of the machineries.
Did he tell you, Mr. Quiles, how long he had been planning to do this?
Yes, he said he's planning it for months.
After many attempts to get her to terminate the pregnancy, he told Iyana in a Snapchat that he would kill her and cry. He kept his promise. Then on January 10th, 2019, he was recorded on a wire saying, "I killed her one day and dumped her the next. There was a possibility it was mine. If she had gave birth to that baby, I would be sitting here with you all. I want to be with my wife and kid. That's my whole purpose. It's one thing to pop somebody you have no ties to. It's another thing to pop somebody you actually love. Not in love. That's the baby. You know what I'm saying? I taught her how to drive. You know what I'm saying? I taught her how to drive a car. I taught her how to swim in the river." Family suspicions began to grow as early as the moment Grandma Winella stumbled upon Iyana and John locked in an intimate embrace in the backyard shortly after Thanksgiving dinner. She immediately warned Kim to keep them separated. Then, just 3 days after learning about Iyana's pregnancy, her aunts and mother started doing the math. In the family group chat, Aunt Jametta openly accused John of being Jose, causing a temporary rift among the sisters. At the picnic table on the day of Iyana's disappearance, Maya made every effort to convince her sister to stay, but Iyana was convinced that he would run away with her. In Maya's persistent loyalty to her sister, she did what she believed was best. She held on to Iyana's secret until she was faced with the heart-wrenching reality that her sister, her closest friend, would never return. Despite the exhaustive 16-day search of the landfill, Iyana's body was never recovered. However, they did find her cherished collection of Victoria's Secret pink lingerie alongside a book from Terry Parker High School. John's wife, Naomi, was also pregnant and due to give birth just 1 month before Iyana. Following a 2-week-long trial, Jonathan Quiles was found guilty of all charges. While prosecutors initially sought the death penalty, John ultimately received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Thank you, Maya, for your bravery in the face of adversity. What you endured while on the stand should never be deemed as acceptable treatment for any victim. In families with secrets, the burden of truth often falls on the shoulders of those brave enough to speak it. Thank you for speaking your truth. Thank you, Iyana Sawyer, for your kindness, your compassion, and for your desire to make a difference in the world. May you and Hazel Michelle rest in eternal peace. It's commonly said that our own secrets can make us sick, but within families, we often find ourselves guarding the secrets of the sick among us. As time passes, that sickness can spread like a contagion, infecting everyone it touches, often spanning for generations. I'm curious, do you think the pain of holding on to a secret is greater than the pain of revealing it?